Welcome, A22. What shall we test today?
Vera, boot, void breakers.
Subject selected, Void Breaker, a high-speed first-person shooter with excessive bullet output and minimal respect for human stability. Today's test, inject the game into virtual reality using UEVR. Primary objective, aim, movement, combat, and survival. Recommended safety protocol, do not panic. Injection sequence armed. Reality stability, questionable. Beginning test in 3, 2, 1. Good luck, A22. Try not to become data.
Right away, I wanted this to work. Void Breaker has that perfect look for a VR experiment. It's fast, colorful, flashy, aggressive, and full of that sci-fi energy that usually feels amazing when it surrounds you in a headset. The world looks sharp. The lighting is cool. The enemies, the effects, the gunfire, the motion. Visually, there's a lot here that makes you think, okay, this could be crazy in VR. And for a few seconds, it almost is. When the game first loads and you see everything around you, it does have that wow factor. The neon colors hit hard. The environments look cool. The whole thing feels like it should be a perfect VR chaos simulator. But then you actually start trying to play it. That's where the problems show up. Because a game can look amazing in VR and still not feel good in VR. And that's basically the whole story here. Void Breaker looks like it should work, but the second you need to move, aim, track enemies, and survive all the effects flying around the screen, it becomes way more trouble than it's worth.
Navigate through the obstructions.
Observation logged. Void Breaker remains visually impressive. Unfortunately, visibility and functionality are currently fighting for custody.
Acceptable.
Then we got the glitches. And look, with UEVR, some jank is expected. That's part of the experiment. We're basically taking a game that was not originally built for VR and trying to convince it that it belongs there. Sometimes that works shockingly well. Sometimes the game says, absolutely not. Void Breaker was closer to the second one. The image could glitch. The view could feel unstable. Certain moments just didn't feel functional enough to call it a good VR experience. It wasn't completely impossible to look at, but it also wasn't smooth enough to recommend. And that's the difference. This isn't about whether you can technically get it running. The real question is, would you actually want to play it this way?
System anomaly detected. The experiment is technically running. Unfortunately, so is the list of problems.
The biggest issue for me was the gun. In a VR shooter, the gun needs to be clear. That's the main thing. You need to know where it is, where it's pointing, how it lines up, and whether you're actually aiming at anything. But in this test, the gun was hard to see at times. Sometimes it felt too low. Sometimes it blended into the chaos. Sometimes it just didn't feel like it was sitting naturally in the view. And when the action picked up, it became even harder to keep track of what was happening. That's a major problem. Because in flat screen mode, your eyes understand the whole screen. You have your crosshair, your gun, your movement, your enemies, all in one clean frame. In VR, your brain expects the gun to feel physically present. It expects your aim to make sense. It expects the weapon to stay readable. When that doesn't happen, the whole shooter starts feeling off. And with Void Breaker being this fast, bullet-heavy, aggressive FPS, you don't really have time to fight the camera or search for your weapon. You need instant clarity. This did not have that.
Weapon visibility test initiated. The gun has become difficult to locate. This is inconvenient, considering it is the gun.
Now I do want to be fair. Void Breaker looks awesome. There are moments where the visuals are genuinely sick. The colors, the lighting, the explosions, the sci-fi design. The game has style. It has energy. It looks like the kind of shooter that could make a great video just from the visuals alone, and that's why this is frustrating. Because you can see the potential. You can see why somebody would think this could be amazing in VR. A fast shooter with wild effects and bullet chaos sounds perfect for a headset. You want that feeling of being inside the storm. You want the enemies in your face. You want the bullets flying past you. You want the gunplay to feel intense. But the problem is, VR needs more than style. VR needs more than style. It needs comfort. It needs readability. It needs control. It needs the player to understand what is happening every second. Void Breaker has the visual intensity, but this VR conversion did not give us enough control or clarity to make that intensity fun. It looked cool. It just didn't feel good enough. And that's where a game like Ghost Runner in VR comes to mind. That kind of fast, stylish first-person action can work better when the movement, camera, and visibility line up in a way that actually supports VR. I'm not saying every fast game automatically works in VR. A lot of them don't. But when you're testing something through UEVR, you start to notice what matters. Can you see your weapon? Does movement feel readable? Can you track enemies? Does the camera behave? Can you play for more than a few minutes without feeling like your brain is being microwaved? So even though it has a gorgeous look, there are better options if the goal is a fun VR experiment. This one feels more like, look how cool this could have been, instead of, I actually want to keep playing this. And the big question, is Void Breaker worth trying in VR? For me, no. Not like this. As a normal game, it might be cool. As a visual showcase, it definitely has moments. But as a VR experience through UEVR, it just does not feel functional enough to be worth the trouble. This is exactly why the test lab exists. Not every experiment is going to be a hidden gem. Some experiments are just warnings. So yeah, Void Breaker in VR looks amazing, but it just wasn't worth playing this way. The glitches, the gun visibility, and the comfort issues killed it for me. Cool game, bad VR experiment. VERA was right. This one failed the test.
Experiment complete. Void Breaker passed the visual test. It then failed visibility, comfort, stability, and basic self-preservation. Final verdict, not worth trying in VR. Case file closed.